How's everybody doing tonight? Nah, Keith, nobody's lining up waiting to talk to me. Hey, behave. I'm dog sitting, so I'm sorry I'm a little late. Pop open the old cold beverage and enjoy. Lots happened in the last couple of days. Hello, Wes Welker. Blair M., Jeff Watson, Keith R. So, Lazy Days RV released their quarter 2 earnings, and it doesn't look good. In fact, it doesn't look good for most of the industry at this point when it comes to new, especially if it's corporate. Especially if you have multiple locations, especially if you have multiple brands of dealerships. I'm very worried for some people. Not for everybody, but I'm not worried so much about the consumer because the actual RVer, the actual RV buyer, the actual private party RV seller will be fine. This is more about employment. The industry as a whole could have avoided this. It's a plain and simple fact. This was an avoidable thing to watch the Camping World and the Lazy Days of the world be on the brink of basically closing their doors. Now, Camping World isn't there. Camping World will survive no matter what. They got a smart team. But more or less, what I'm referring to is Lazy Days RV more than likely is going to go out of business. You can tell investors, you can tell Wall Street, you can tell everybody in the world that you can give them all the politically correct answers and all the rhetoric that you want. But you absolutely are getting annihilated. And I don't blame Lazy Days. Now, I know they've made some really bad decisions as a company. If you go back to 2020, 21, 22, they really overpacked themselves full of their own brands, okay? I think that's a mistake. If you actually look at the way Camping World set themselves up and Blue Compass and General RV and all these other guys, they took their personal brands and really backed off of purchasing them. Yeah, Jeff, you're going to. It's not as many, though. I'm going to tell you. It's not as many as there was going out in 2016, 2017, 2018. I was talking to a buddy of mine that's in Pennsylvania. He's getting ready for the Hershey show. And he was telling me the amount of 2025s that are coming in are far and few between what they normally would do, the dealership he works for. And it's not by like, oh yeah, we're taking 10% of this. It's by half. They're going to go into the Hershey show trying to sell 23s and 24s. They're going to have some 25s. But for the most part, they're going in with the mindset and a pay plan to annihilate inventory as fast as possible. Okay. Does it mean that they're going to give things away for 30 cents on the dollar? No. Does it mean that they're going to give away things for 75, 80 cents on the dollar? Probably. I've already talked to a good buddy of mine that's in the Midwest. They've already told me that's MSRP on 2025s, no discount. And they're stocking 5 out of 120 pieces in stock. 5 of them are going to be 2025s. That's it. Until factories kind of recalibrate and start being proactive rather than reactive, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I'm not, Jeff. I'm going to be at Tampa Bay, though, and Portland. I'm not paying $2,000 round trip for a plane ticket to Hershey. I don't have that kind of money. But I will be at the Tampa Bay show, and I will be at the November Portland, Oregon show. I've already booked my stuff for that, so I'm already ready to rock and roll. Next year, I'll be at Hershey. I'll book it much more in advance and have a little more game plan timing. It's just bad timing. I mean, pretty much I dove into basically being an independent, right? So, I'm no longer being a manager of a dealership, so I don't really have an income to fall back on in that respect. So I won't be doing it. God, good Lord, that's funny. Okay, the other thing we got to really kind of look at is a lot of questions I've been getting. It comes from RV financing. A lot of folks are under the impression that interest rates are just going to fall off a cliff. I'm hearing this a lot. Today, I was sitting at you'll call it a flea market, and just answering standard questions people have. And one guy comes up to me and goes, well, interest rates are going to fall off a cliff next month. So we're waiting till then. I'm like, doesn't anybody paying attention understand how they're really going to work interest rates? We don't know what they're going to do. More than likely, because the numbers are not as good as they want them to be, they're not going to do a darn thing. The more than likely scenario, everybody's been talking about interest rate cuts, Fed's going to cut rates, Fed's going to cut rates. They have shown zero movement towards any guarantees of anything. They could, out of the blue, out of the nowhere, shock the world and raise rates in September. We don't know. There is no certainty. You can project, you can guess, but if I were to take a guess, I would tell you that interest rates, specifically when it comes to boat, power sports, RV, motorcycle, all the non-need loans, the want loans, the toy loans, will not be going down anytime soon. Not dramatically. So if you're waiting for interest rates to drop, that is a big mistake. That's a huge mistake. If you're waiting for prices to fall off a cliff even more than they already have, you already have seen rock bottom. You're starting to see the climb up. Rock bottom was in March of this year. We've slowly seen things recover pretty quick. If you're waiting for Lazy Days or Blue Compass or RV Funtown or any of these big corporate monstrous dealerships to go out of business because you think you can pick up inventory or pick up a piece for pennies on the dollar, you don't really understand how it works because you're not in it. It's a different world. The RV industry is a different world than the auto industry. There are a lot less RVs built every year than there are automobiles and trucks. Why? Because that's the word, recreational vehicle. So the best way to manage this is to having the understanding that stop waiting to live your life based on what some other human being is artificially making an interest rate. Money is all baloney. It's all bull crap. It's a fugazi. It's a fugazi. You can't take it with you. You know, Lord have mercy if there's if you guys have ever seen the movie GoldenEye with James Bond. I just watched that again for probably the 30th time in my life. You know, heaven forbid an EMP attack occurs from a satellite or from a electronic bomb that goes off in the atmosphere. Your money ain't worth shit. Your silver and your gold and your Bitcoin are worth nothing. Nothing. It's all a control device to prevent us from killing each other, to own a tool or eat a deer or to farm a crop. Gregory, if that's the way you're taking my message, I'm sorry you feel that way, but that is not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is I'm referring to the people that are ready, willing, and able. I'm not talking about folks that can barely put food on the table. I'm not talking to folks that are living paycheck to paycheck and don't know where their next rent check's coming from. I'm not talking to the folks that just recently lost their good paying job and wondering how they're going to pay the electric bill next month. That's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the folks that are sitting on the sidelines because they think that they're going to outdo the system. That they're going to beat the system because they're going to sit and watch Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and they're not going to go live their life. So if you're wondering, that I'm not talking to the guy that prays that his credit card goes through when he's filling up his gas so he can go to work. Because those folks, when they come on here and they come and listen to what I have to say, they're listening for their future when things do turn around, when they are able to do it. And I guarantee you that anybody in the position of being so broke because inflation has just pounded on people, they would flip sides with anybody sitting on the sidelines that has the ability to do this. They would trade places with them in a heartbeat and go camping. Because most people that are struggling right now can't even afford to go to the park, which is free. So I'm not talking to those people and referring to them. I'm referring to the guy that's sitting with 60, 70 grand in a bank account, 800 credit, a government job that he'll never lose, a guy that sold his house and has 2-3 million in the bank and sitting there going, I know I'm going to be able to pick up a new motorhome for 5 cents on the dollar. I know it's coming. I'm going to get a $500,000 diesel pusher for 50 grand. Hi, everybody. That's who I'm referring to. Live your life. If you have the ability to live your life, live your life. If it's getting a boat and riding the Mississippi River, go enjoy it. If it's, to hitchhike across the United States and see every one of the most silly monuments, or one of the greatest, biggest ball of twine, or the biggest spoon, or the biggest fork. If you want to go see all the Guinness World Record things, go do it. We get to live one life. That's what I'm referring to. Sometimes, Gregory, sometimes they are a pain in the ass. Absolutely. But so are cars. So are motorcycles. So are side by sides and ATVs. Anything with a moving parts is a pain in the butt. Boats probably are a bigger pain in the butt than an RV is, because at least an RV has, unless you're getting like a big diesel pusher with a lot of bells and whistles, there's a lot less chances of an Armageddon level problem happening. There's an old saying that in a boat, the greatest days are the day you buy it, your first day out, and the day you sell it. It's not quite how RVs work. RVs are more better memory builders, because you have more access and more freedom. You know. Hmm. No, Jay Adams, they're not going to do anything like that. Oh, interest rates when I started, let's see, 08, 9, 10 were around, standard rate was 16%, 15.95. That was a standard rate. We did have some 899s, 799s here and there, but the standard rate we quoted everybody was 16%, 15.95. That was a standard rate when I got started. So the standard rate now is around 9 or 10%. So we're still less than the standard rate. But you have to remember there's a difference. The Fed didn't skyrocket the rates. Banks stopped lending. So the lenders that were lending in 08, 9, and 10 were lending in subprime loans. That was the only thing available in RVs. So when somebody walked in with an 850 score and they said, "What's your best interest rate?" 15.95. What? Yeah. But dealers are taking 30, 40 grand losses on big ass motorhomes. So it didn't, people didn't ask what the interest rates were that often. They were more worried about the price and the payment. They knew they could refinance. Most people in this industry that are RV community members already, that have trade-ins, they've done it once or twice, they already know that if they buy something today, or they bought something in 2022, or they buy something next month, they're going to refinance it when rates go down. They're not going to hold on. The loans that are given out, that have been given out since May of 2022 till whenever rates get cut down, the lenders know there's going to be a mass refinance that's going to happen. There's going to be a mass amount of people. When rates get down into the 4s and 5s in this industry, maybe the 6s, it's going to be mass, like walk in and everybody's going to refinance their loans. And that's kind of how it's going to go. Jay Adams, see, that's the problem most people understand. There isn't going to be quality control like you would think. Two things that really folks don't understand. First thing is, you can go perfect through the factory, find no flaws. You could hire 20 people to triple, quadruple check every unit. And the percentage of problems, Armageddon level problems, is not going to improve. Okay? It's going to stay the same. Now, if Grand Design did not go through what they're going through, and with all the accusations that they've had against them from their own customers, we would not be having this much of an intense conversation about it. What needs to happen, if I were to make a prediction, what would happen is dealerships are just going to get sick and tired of things falling apart on them on the road, because that's where it's going to happen. It could be perfect at the factory. The fifth wheel, the travel trailer, the motorhome can get picked up by the transport company, taken to a yard, parked at the yard. Then it gets taken however many miles, 1,800, 2,000, 1,200, 1,500 miles, different weather, different altitude, different road conditions, different driver, and everything go to hell. You could road test these for 100 miles, bring them back, and the percentages are not going to change. The percentages are never going to change. Your percent, and I've been saying that for now a while, is now the Armageddon level problems that Liz Amazing exposes and others expose is an extremely small percentage of RVs built. Period. The percentage is less than Armageddon level problems with the auto industry. So the percentages are never going to change. You could hire as many people as you want. It's not going to change. Yeah, well, you got to understand, you could buy a brand new motorhome, okay, in 2008. You could buy, actually from 2008 to 2019, even into early 2020, before the lockdowns, you really only had a price increase over 12 years of, let's say, 7, 8, 9%. So you could go buy a nice Class A motorhome, gas, Southland 32V, for 75 grand back in 2008. Full body paint, big gen, all that stuff. In 2019, you could buy that same motorhome for mid 90,000, 94, 95, 96,000. So the reality is the price increase over 12 years, depending on which brand, which manufacturer, was between 9 and 15%, maybe up to 20% over 12 years. Okay. What spiked motorhome prices was the chassis manufacturer. So Ford, Freightliner, Mercedes, they tripled the cost of a chassis on the RV manufacturer back during COVID. And yes, they've cut down their price a little bit, but not nearly back down. They're never going to be what they were in 2018-19. That's the problem. Well, Chosen One, you could go buy a Chinese RV and you're going to get the same thing as you would an American RV. It's the same thing. You're going to end up with the same thing. That's cool, K-Tech. Elkhart's a nice little town. Hi, Vincent. Yeah, and see, in 08, 09, so many dealers went out of business, but you couldn't pick things up for pennies on the dollar. There were discounts. Dealers were willing to get rid of stuff. It was about cash flow, right? I mean, that's the reality. It's different right now because 08, 09 was caused by the housing market, the insurance market collapsing. Today, it's about mistakes made by the RV manufacturers. The RV factories caused this problem, not the people, not interest rates. The overstuffing of inventory came from a mentality that's super stupid called, well, a stuffed dealer is a loyal dealer? Oh, I have no idea, my man. I mean, I'm not familiar with any dealers out there. I never went to any of the dealers. I wish I had, but I never went to any of them. Oh, chosen one, you see, that's the kind of thinking that's wrong. That's that kind of chisme or rhetoric that is not true. Not everybody that builds an RV is on drugs. I could say the same thing about a post office worker. I could say the same thing about firefighters. Oh, they're all on drugs. It's not true. It's not true. Workers are not all on drugs. Not every one of them is on marijuana or CBD. That's not true. If that was true, then there would be peace throughout the entire world. There wouldn't be a war in Ukraine, there wouldn't be a war in Israel, and we wouldn't be so divided in this country. So if everybody took the Snoop Dogg approach of the world and all just decided to smoke a blunt, we all live in peace and harmony. Again, chosen one, if that was true, then we'd all be in harmony. There wouldn't be this evil rhetoric from the Democrats and the Republicans during this election. There wouldn't be this much divided. There wouldn't be a divided America. If everybody was smoking weed, there would be peace on earth. Gregory, you're funny. I don't know about that. I don't know how many guys are really on drugs. You know, there's another question I keep getting lately, and the question is the biggest question I've been getting lately is when am I going to like go on the road? I get that a lot. I am going on the road. I'll be at the Portland, Oregon show November 7th and 8th. That's Thursday, Friday. I won't be there Saturday, Sunday. I got to be back and working on Saturday and Sunday. I got stuff I got to do. And I'll be back. I will be at Tampa Bay January 15th and 16th. That's Thursday, Friday. So I'll be there Thursday and Friday, each of those shows. I'm also going to try to get to the Houston, Texas show in February. Nobody's gotten those dates for me yet. I'm going to try to do the Dallas Cowboy Stadium show after, I think that's March or April. So I'm going to try to make it to some shows this year. Hell yeah, unwavering stillness. If I knew there was peace on earth and everybody was on the same playing field, yeah. What the hell? As long as Snoop Dogg knows what he's doing, I'm good. Don't know if I'd survive it, but you never know, right? All right. That's it for tonight, guys. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, the podcast is live at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are live tomorrow on the podcast channel. Have a good night.